The biting wind swept across Raven Ridge tactical grounds as the woman appeared at the perimeter. Her patched hiking jacket hung loose over her small frame, the battered rifle case in her hand wrapped in layers of peeling duct tape. Trainers and techs paused smirking as she walked with quiet certainty through the sea of carbon fiber weapons and designer tactical gear. Laughter lingered in the air behind her. Her boots crunched against gravel no one else stepped on. Without hesitation or glance, she passed under the cold metal arch of the registration gate, unnoticed yet entirely unforgettable. The woman's name never appeared on the sleek digital roster. Instead, bright red letters marked her as mock entry number 13. Conversations hushed as heads turned to track her steady progress. A metal token scraped across the gravel and landed near her worn boots. No reaction came as she stepped beyond it. The crowd of elite contractors, tech-backed competitors, and seasoned snipers traded knowing glances, phones lifted discreetly. A private live stream captured her taped rifle case with a mocking caption. She walked on past cold stares and smirks her presence judged before a single shot had been fired. Inside the Raven Ridge Lodge, rich mahogany walls framed glass cases of precision rifles and golden plaques. She moved unnoticed past the leather chairs and polished floors. Her eyes lingered briefly on a sponsor's banner bolted over an unlit brass plaque. With no pause, she continued toward the firing line. The heavy door marked authorized personnel only. Founder's range swung shut behind her with a soft click. No alarm sounded, no eyes followed. Beyond the threshold, rows of advanced rifles gleamed under harsh white lights. Branded mats and carbon fiber tripods waited for their owners. Young competitors adjusted scopes, assistants whispered wind speeds into earpieces. She moved alone, coat folded over one arm, the battered rifle case clutched tightly. The sharp scent of gun oil and metal filled the sterile air. Her path never wavered. She stopped at bay number 13, unrolled a plain mat, and set her case gently down. She knelt, unfolding the worn case with deliberate care, the faded cloth handle frayed under her touch as the latches cracked open. Inside, an old yet meticulously maintained long-range rifle lay alongside a dented tin of rounds and a small weathered notebook. Around her sleek, modern rigs glinted beneath the overhead LEDs. Competitors nearby chuckled and adjusted their high-end optics. She ignored them. Calmly, she flipped open the notebook, scanning handwritten wind charts and ballistic calculations. Sliding into prone position with practiced ease, she loaded the first round, adjusted her sling, and settled in as the range display blinked alive. The timer pulsed green. Breath steady, she pressed her cheek to the worn stock fingers, relaxed yet certain along the trigger guard. The wind whispered low across the barren range. Far downfield, the 200-meter target stood like a faint mark against the horizon. Around her, movements froze. Even the hum of idle conversations faded. With no hesitation, she exhaled and squeezed. The sharp crack split the silence. The scoreboard blinked red, then displayed a single perfect center hit. Still motionless, she cycled the bolt and prepared the next round. One flawless shot had turned scorn into stunned, watchful silence. The next round followed with mechanical precision, sliding into the chamber. She adjusted the scope by a single notch, exhaled slowly, and fired. Another perfect center hit. The crowd, once lively with mockery, had gone still. One by one, the impacts stitched a tight cluster on the target, each shot indistinguishable from the last. No spotter called corrections, no assistant whispered data. Her focus never wavered. The leaderboard tech leaned closer to the screen, blinking in disbelief. The tight grouping glowed faintly under the thermal overlay, the system struggling to differentiate each impact. By the seventh shot, competitors had stopped adjusting their own rifles. Some packed up quietly, others stared in open awe. Phones that once recorded in ridicule now captured history in reverent silence. The 8th and 9th rounds followed the same flawless path. With the final cartridge seated, she paused, briefly inhaled, and broke the shot. For a second, nothing registered, then the screen pulsed. 100 to 100, no decimals, no deductions, perfect verification. She opened the bolt, laid the rifle flat, and rested her hand gently over the receiver. The red cluster on the target resembled a single fingerprint pressed into the distant paper, an unrepeatable testament. The range held its breath. The crowd barely stirred as an older man in a tailored military overcoat appeared at the far end of the observation deck. No one had seen him arrive. With calm purpose, he walked to a section of the donor wall hidden behind a bright promotional banner. Slowly, he peeled back the vinyl, revealing an aged brass plaque dulled by years of neglect. 3 simple lines were engraved. A Winslow. Design, lead founding contributor, Trajectory Systems target design. The realization rippled silently through the assembly like a slow rolling wave. Those who had mocked, doubted, or ignored her stood motionless, eyes fixed on the name they now understood. The instructor at the scoring desk pressed both palms against the wood, staring blankly at the monitor still flashing 100. She remained by bay number 13, folding her mat and packing her rifle with steady, deliberate motions. No applause came. None was needed. The brass and the numbers had already spoken. With quiet finality, she closed the rifle case and lifted it into her grasp. The faded cloth handle slipped comfortably into her palm. Without a glance back, she stepped away from the bay. The range, once loud with taunts and laughter, remained suspended in hushed disbelief. Cameras lowered slowly. Conversations faltered, then stopped altogether. She passed under the cold glow of the overhead lights, walking past the donor wall and the crowd that parted instinctively before her. No one followed. No signature marked her exit. Only the scoreboard remained frozen in bright red digits: 10 shots, 100 scores, 0 error. Days later, a young woman with secondhand boots and a borrowed rifle arrived for a beginner's course. Quiet and unnoticed, she wandered along the donor wall, fingers brushing over the names. At the far corner below the 1 to 200 meter line marker, her hand paused. Carved deep into the concrete foundation were 3 simple initials: AW. No ceremony, no plaque, just the mark left behind. Back inside, an instructor retrieved a worn visitor badge from the trash. Its lettering faded, the photo ghosted. With a soft swipe of his sleeve, he placed it inside the sealed display case reserved for retired patches and artifacts. No label was added, none was needed. Weeks later, Raven Ridge's code of conduct, quietly updated performance, is not determined by pedigree. Deep in the software credits, unnoticed by most, one line appeared beneath the scoring interface ballistics module developed and donated by A. Winslow. The legacy remained silent, yet undeniable. The range returned to routine, yet something lingered. New shooters, veterans, and instructors alike paused just a moment longer before taking position at the 200 meter line. Some glanced toward the donor wall, others traced the initials in the concrete with silent reverence. None spoke her name aloud, yet every breath carried the weight of what she had proven. She never asked for recognition. She never explained. Her legacy was not one of words, but of unwavering action. In every perfect shot, every steady stance, and every quiet triumph, she had shown that true strength demands no introduction. It simply endures.